How's it, bro? Good to be on. Good to get a full week of rugby league in. No more of those affected by state of origin rounds. So it was good to get a full 8 matches in. So looking forward to reviewing them all. Yeah, I caught a few of them. I caught the early games from the Thursday, Friday. Was away at a family do on the Saturday, so I only caught the end of that round, that Saturday matches, the Storm at Sea Eagles, and then caught the Warriors game. Obviously, thought I'd give the Tigers Titans Leko Lea match a miss, but then I was looking at the highlights and it was pretty close. A 1 point win to the Tigers. Sweet, bro. So all eyes for me comes from the Warriors Knights game. There was the obvious Leka Halasima try, but for me, there wouldn't have been a Leka Halasima try if we didn't have Tane Tuaupiki at the back making some really good defensive efforts to bring down a couple of Knights attacking sort of runs that they made. So he brought one, he ran Bradman Best down, and then Best sort of knocked it on. And then the second one was he had run Cogger down after Cogger getting through. We mentioned just off here before that they were both on that left side. That right side of the Warriors. It's looking a bit dodgy. Dallin doing some poor defensive reads and teams being able to get past them real easy. And fortunately for the Warriors last weekend, Tuaupiki was quick enough to turn around and run both those Knights players down and kept the Warriors in the game because, to be honest, man, the Knights looked the better team on that night. So all eyes for me was Tane Tuaupiki with a great effort defensively at fullback.
Charles, yeah, bro. I thought you were gonna go with the obvious Leka, which is my all eyes on me player and play of the week moments. Leka Halasima. But yeah, also, I don't think Leka Halasima will even come close to having that moment without Tuaupiki's try savers there, bro. But yeah, before I rip into that moment, bro, there was to give an honourable mention to who was it, Dewey in that close one in the Leko Lea match. I think it was like the 79th minute with 15 seconds to go, bro. He landed that drop goal to beat the Titans. And as well as coming from the Doggies Dragons game, we had Lachlan Galvin fire up the winning pass to score the winning try late in that game to seal the game for the Doggies against the Dragons, bro. But man, hands down, I thought everyone's been talking over here across the ditch about Leka Halasima, man, with his winning heroic sables, bro. It was crazy last minute of the gameplay, man. Like, first of all, like when I was talking about he saved Tuaupiki, he saved what's the halfback from getting tomatoes thrown at him all week, bro. Because Tana Boyd had the most shocking last 5 minutes of that game, and after missing that penalty right in front, and that salt in the wound was just about to happen when that touchdown come, bro. But man, it took me back, bro, that moment. Just seeing when he picked the ball up from 45 meters out, bro. And then the in and out to beat, was it gay guy at fullback? Guy. And he fucking out sprinted
yeah, gay guy.
Yeah.
Bradman
gay guy. Bradman Best, bro, who's known for his speed and power, man. But Halasima was kind of quiet. I don't think play come down his way, but he can pull out these tries. There was a try he scored. The try that kind of introduced him to everyone. Remember that try he scored against the Tigers earlier in the year when he come running down the sideline, out sprinted outside backs and come in and out under the posts. But this try kind of takes me back. There was a try, I think, I don't know if it was a winning try, but there's a try they barred against the Bronx back in the days. It was like 04. and Shoni Famuina pulled out the backwards pass. Do you remember that try? That was like a winning try to take the game for the Warriors back then, bro. But yeah, man, that Halasima moment, bro, is just kind of one of those things that you kind of remember. Yes. One of those tries that just beyond belief, bro. And, we go from the poor Knights fans cheering their asses off in the same split second starting to Gangi Valley. And same with the Warriors, bro. I bet you yourself were below Valley at the TV when Tana Boyd got that kick charge down. And then the facial expressions just slowly start cheering your asses off with the Eyez Halasima try. But yeah, bro. Oh, that's hands down like one of the plays of the year for me, man. And this guy must be a shoo-in for what is it? Rookie of the year, eh, bro? Pretty sure he debuted this year.
I reckon it'll be between him and Nawangani Tuasi, I reckon.
Yes. But yeah, bro. Leka Halasima, man, take a bow. That was awesome to watch, bro. I was kind of like just a casual follower. On the inside, I was kind of Lokoleanga. I just only because I really wanted the Knights to win because it brings the Broncos within two, within 2 points. And but nah, yeah, bro. Let's rip into your Kaea Kele of the week, brother.
Sweet also, my Kaea Kele of the week goes to the NRL refs. Cracking back down on incorrect play the ball penalties, those roll balls. So there was a start of the year where they were massive on it, and like for about 2 or 3 weeks, consistently refs were penalising teams for incorrect play the ball. They were just sort of rolling it between their legs, and then it sort of died off. And then you thought, teams getting better, or refs just ignoring it. And in the weeks since then to last week's round, it just looked like refs stopped calling it because there were heaps of people just rolling the ball in between their legs and it wasn't getting called. And then all of a sudden, round 20 happens and the refs all of a sudden start picking up on it again. And I'm not a hater of the rule because it is something that you need to get right. I'm just a hater of the application of it and the consistency of that application. So if refs are going to do it at the start of the year, they need to do it right throughout the year, not fall off and then teams get complacent again. And then all of a sudden they ramp up this hard crackdown on that rule again. So, I mean, it hampers plays, it hampers the flow of the game. And it can happen at really crucial times for teams. Teams are trying to get out of their red zone and then all of a sudden get penalised and then they're on the back foot again. That kind of momentum shift can really change a game. So if you're going to ref it consistently, ref it throughout the year, every game, not just bring it up every now and then because, man, it's annoying as for fans, but it's super annoying for coaches as well. Who unexpectedly get those real hard out penalties called against their team. So they're like, flipping heck, we thought this was behind us. But the NRL have a really bad habit of doing that with different things over the years. And I just really hope that it's if they're going to apply it from now on until the rest of the season before the playoffs, then do it consistently. Keep calling them. But if they're going to fall off again, then it's like, come on, man. We don't know when they're going to spring this application of the rule on teams, and teams will get lokoleanga if they get done by these last minute sort of penalties. Anyway, for me, that was my Kaea Kele, was the refs bringing back that harsh sort of stance on play the ball penalties again for me.
Yeah, bro. I don't mind it. I don't mind it when a player is not making a fair effort. Like even like if you look at the stats, I don't even think there's stats in there. But just from the naked eye, man, I don't think half the players touch the fucking ball with their foot. Hey, but I think you turn a blind eye if they're making an effort. You know what I mean? You see the foot lift, but I don't mind them blowing up the obvious, tunnel ball, and if the foot doesn't even step over it. But there was the inconsistency, bro, was there. It's fucking all of us to see. Was in that Doggies Dragons game. I don't know if you saw that moment when the Doggies got a penalty reversed after they took it up. The Jacob Kaea got penalised for incorrect play of the ball. He had Luciano Leilua foot, so he hadn't even got up, right? And he was kind of playing the ball, and he didn't even make an effort to stand up. So he placed the ball on Luciano's foot, and 9 times out of 10, bro, that's a penalty, bro. They don't give it the other way. Anyway, Doggies get penalised, and they take it upstairs, and Grant Atkins, who was the senior TMO, reverses it, bro, and say that Luciano's foot was in the way. But I've seen those fucking I've seen those plays get penalised, bro. If you don't make an effort to stand up and play the ball correctly, whether or not the foot's there or not, you've got the ball in your hand. You have to. It's different if like someone's making a kicking action towards the ball, but if a foot's there already and then you place the ball on top and it kind of and it falls out of your grasp, bro, too bad. That's a knock on or incorrect play of the ball. But yeah, and you know what the bullshit thing is? They ain't gonna pull those penalties out come grand final. But
Nah.
I digress. I had a few for my Kele's, bro. I had a few during that game. I was just having a whinge about the Doggies and Dragons game, bro. Tyrone Sloan coming out of the line, coming out of the line, man, right at the end to give Lachlan Galvin that match-winning pass. Man, I really felt gutted for the Dragons, bro, because they busted their asses to get into a winning position, bro, and they needed that win, bro, and that would have been a big win, man, against one of the table toppers. Another example was the Knights. I had the Knights, bro, in a runner-up prize, bro. Just how many chances they bombed against the Warriors. I mentioned it before. I had that halfback, the halfback for the Wars in that last 5-10 minutes of that game, bro. But my guy Kele at the moment, bro, comes from that Storm game. Nelson Asofa Solomona, bro, was for his Fa'avalea elbow, bro, to get that penalised, man. It was brain explosion. And the reason why I mentioned it, I don't think Storm deserved to win anyway, bro, but that was such a stupid penalty to give away in the try-scoring situation, man, right on their line. And Nelson's done this in the past, man, and like I just give them this award, bro, because he's just plenty of examples, bro, of brain explosions, this discipline from Nelson Asofa Solomona. We saw, it's interesting, he got 2 weeks, bro. We saw during the Origin that Lomax, he lashed out as well. I forgot who I think it's Liero. Yeah, Trent Liero. Do you remember that? But he only got fined. But Asofa Solomona did the same thing, exact same thing, bro, and got 2 weeks. So I don't know if that's a Kiwi thing or what, bro, but this is a bit of a bias. I think he's got a bad rap, that's why. But yeah, also that's my Kele of the week, bro.
It pretty much is.
Hey, we get that, with Nelson and a few of those other guys, Island boys with bad raps, they get fucking treated shit at the judiciary.
Yeah, well, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves was probably the worst for it. Like, he could do like the most minor of things, but because he's had such a bad rap, that guy would get like 2 weeks just as a starting point for any sort of incursion in rules, like any foul play. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's got anything to do with being Kiwis. It's just because you've constantly been sent to judiciary for foul play acts.
Moving right along, brother. We just for the topics of the week. There's a couple that's just stood out recently. We've I think today they just announced Kevin Walters as the new Kangaroos coach. But on that same topic, we had the Hammer just reveal that he's going to make himself available for Toa Samoa, which is fucking awesome for Toa Samoa supporters and the team itself. But it just kind of brought out some more of these whingers, mostly these Balangi Aussies whingers. Every time a big name makes, puts their hand up for Island Nations, they start whinging about the rules. And everyone knows the rules, bro. If you're two second-tier nation, you're eligible for State of Origin, which a lot of these boys are. These guys are born and raised. Most of them are born and raised in Australia in their state. And they're also eligible to play for the country of let's just say, origin. You know, they might not be born there, but their parents are there. Their cultural identity is from there. So it's just really funny, also, because they don't say nothing about 2022 when the Hammer was playing for Samoa and then wanted to put up his hand for the Kangaroos, but we're bringing it up now. And the reason why I want to ask you this, Brad Fittler, I read an article where he wanted to change the rules where the two-tier nations aren't eligible for State of Origin. Only because he thinks that with the Kangaroos going to England, they're playing the Ashes tour there, first time in a long time that they're going to England. And he said the spectacle of the Kangaroos playing over there in an Ashes tour should mean more than the Island Nations playing each other here in Australia. You know, it's a bigger occasion. And I read that and I was like, not necessarily, bro. For you, it was back in the day. It was, but for these Islander boys, bro, who they are born and raised in Australia, most of them, but for them, represent Tonga, represent Samoa, represent Fiji, that would mean more than going over in England and pulling over the green and gold. I just think he's putting on what he perceives as a greater deal, a bigger deal, representing the Kangaroos in an Ashes tour compared to representing your Pacific Island nations. If you ask me, I think he's a bit fair that the big dogs, Tino and Payne Haas, are going to do the same thing. So I think he's just throwing it out there to try and get them to stay with the Kangaroos, bro. But what's your views on this, Uzo?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of talk about this. The only person that I've sort of heard have a positive view on this from those mainstream league commentators has been Phil Gould. Gus has been the only one that's sort of backed tier 2 nation players playing in Origin, but also having the opportunity to decide where they want to go and play internationally. His view is that the international game doesn't have any impact on State of Origin, and that, you know, lots of them, like Fittler, like Paul Gallen, have this view that State of Origin needs to be a selection sort of ground for the Australian international team. Phil Gould's like, no, not really. We've got heaps of players. And they're like, oh yeah, but the guys that are getting picked in Origin are then getting this experience in Origin and then going off to play for Tonga, Samoa. Why don't we just open it up to New Zealanders and Pommies then, if that's the case? And then Phil Gould brought back, because they're tier 1 nations. We're trying to grow the game internationally and we're trying to develop the game internationally. And he kept bringing it back to, I remember the days when no one could compete with Australia. Australia was the only team, and we were belting teams left, right, and centre. Like the Kiwis would pop up every now and then, but still be getting 40 points put on them. Same with Great Britain. Australia was this one team, and you can't really call the game international back then, when Australia was the dominant team. And so his whole view was that seeing the game develop, seeing these tier 2 nations get better, even seeing the development in New Zealand and, all those players that have come through the NRL and that have now gone on to like Super League and other comps, taking their quality of rugby league that was developed, sure, in the NRL and now playing it elsewhere, it grows the game internationally. And that's Phil Gould's whole point. And Paul Giddens like, well, don't you want to see Australia be dominant again and blah, blah, blah. And Phil Gould's like, well, yeah, sure. But, all of these players that we have, if they're good enough, they'll make the State of Origin teams, not the Samoan boys or the Tongan boys. If they're good enough to play club, then they need to perform at their clubs to get selected to be part of the State of Origin teams, to then go on to Australian international honours. But at the moment, the guys that they can pick from for Australia, they're not good enough in those positions because the Tongan boys and the Samoan boys are getting picked over them. And now, I've heard people talk about Brian To'o being like, he's probably going to be an immortal for his form in the State of Origin arena. Like, he's been scoring so many tries. He's been super consistent, even in losing New South Wales teams. He's done all he needed to do to sort of stand out, to try and get his team over the line. Like, they've been giving big reps to To'o and even to Critter and to Payne Haas and to all these boys that have these Pacific Island heritage through their parents. And so now all of a sudden when they want to go and play for the heritage of their parents, it's now become an issue. And I brought this up on a potty ages ago about back in the day when Semi Radradra he had played for Fiji and they were super desperate to get him to play for Australia. And I don't know what it was, but he hadn't lived in Australia long enough to get selected. But they did something to get Semi Radradra onto the Australian team. And then the man plays a couple of games and then he's off to Union anyway. So I was like, so he went through all of that just to get Semi into the squad, just for Semi to get a better offer in Union and see you later. So there was no, sort of loyalty. And like, I can understand those guys who have come through the Australian system, who've come through watching State of Origin, who then expect for those elite State of Origin players to then form the majority of the Australian squad. But that's just not the game that we're or the era that we're in now. And these guys have taken all these young Pacific Island kids, and let's be honest, like, the Pacific Islanders make up 60-70% of the NRL. Or I don't know what the figure is. You can fact check me on that later. But these are the guys that
pretty close.
They make up the bulk of NRL teams, and must be. They make up the bulk of NRL teams, and so of course they're going to be well represented in State of Origin and be really good at the positions that they're getting selected for. But I like Gus Gould's take on, well, if those Palangi boys that want to play for Australia, if they're good enough, they need to get better to be selected for New South Wales or to be selected for Queensland. But just at the moment, they're not. So, good on Hammer wanting to come back to Toa. I don't know why he left in the first place. I think in that last World Cup he got injured, so he didn't really sort of feature. Because he got injured in one of those early pool games, and then I don't know, maybe he wasn't swept up in the whole Toa movement, and then subsequently left and went to Australia. But all of those guys want to play for Australia, but as soon as they put that jersey on, they've ticked that box. It's like, oh yeah, I've played for New Zealand now. Oh yeah, I've played for Australia. What I really want to do is go play and represent my parents' heritage and play for Samoa or play for Tonga. For Fittler to say something like that, how they need to, it's not as important. Man, tell that to Andrew Fafita. Tell that to Tomalolo, who started this whole exodus of players wanting to turn out for Kiwis in Australia. going the other way, now wanting to play for Tonga and Samoa. There's no money in playing for their heritage countries. These rugby league bodies, Samoa Rugby League or Tonga Rugby League, they ain't got no money, man. So whatever money that they do have, man, they're just trying to make sure that they don't get, a ride in the back of the luggage truck, like the poor Fijian teams in rugby union. So it's not a financial thing. These guys are playing for their heritage countries, representing their parents, because they want to. If they really, really wanted to play for Australia, then they would have. And you can't really sort of take it away from the guys that have already represented the Kiwis or the Kangaroos. Like, come on, man. They've already represented those countries. So why are you being salty about the fact that they now want to represent their parents' heritage countries? They've already given games, given blood, sweat, and tears for the Kangaroos and the Kiwis, but you don't want them to do the same for Samoa and Tonga. That's just salty for mine. So good on those boys who want to turn out for their heritage countries. More power to them. And if they really want to grow the game internationally, then they need to just keep the rules as it is, tier 2, so that we can get to see the boys still representing in state of origin level. And I mean, Gus Gould's right. If those Palangi boys want to play for Australia and the pathway is through state of origin to get selection, they need to be better than Toa. They need to be better than Critter. They need to be better than Haas. But if you look at the front rowers at the moment, it's like, well, the top 5 front rowers are probably all brown boys. Payne Haas, Tino, May, it's like Adam, Fisher Harris. It's like they're all brown. So come on, man. You can't hate on the boys for being talented enough to get selected for state of origin and then wanting to take their talents to the islands. It's just sour grapes.
Hard. And you mentioned the pull of the island jerseys because of the cultural heritage. So I can see why Hema decided to go back to Samoa, but more so on the footy side of things, bro. It ain't too much of a loss for the Kangaroos because I don't even think he would be the top 2 starters for fullback. Dylan Edwards is probably the obvious pick. I think they'd have Ponga ahead of, arguable, but possibility maybe as a centre. But we saw his heroics for state of origin. Even that selection that Billy made in the Queensland team. Even that one was arguable. So from a football standpoint, he will walk into that Toa Samoa jersey. So I understand that. I think this is just the start of the noise. Also, we heard Payne Haas earlier in the year say that he was contemplating defecting to Samoa to represent his parents, his mum. Once that's confirmed, bro, and Tino's confirmed, then you watch all the Gangi Valles come out of the woodworks, bro. Then we got all this shit. But man, it's an ongoing thing, bro. These rules have been put in place for the last few years. We're just gonna keep hearing it, man. The more and more some of the big stars come over, But on to the next topic, bro. And this is probably a good one, close for yourself, bro. We had the and a keen interest as I reside here in southeast Queensland, but the Warriors announced a pathways program with the Logan City Council, and Logan City Council, the Logan region lies that corridor between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. And man, some talent come out of that area, man. Like some past and present players who represented Queensland, man. Just to name a few: Papali'i, Cameron Smith, Israel Folau. This just a handful, man, off the top of the head, bro. But yeah, interesting one for me, man. A real win for the Warriors, man, because they're giving a lot of these kids here in Queensland who have a pick of 3 professional teams that they could play for, bro, with the Dolphins, with the Broncos, and the Titans, as opposed to the Warriors who have a whole country behind them. Is this a harsh thing for let's say the local talent back home in NZ, also, that now kids gotta compete with Aussie kids for pathways to a professional job, bro, or a spot on the team, or is this a good thing for the Warriors, bro? What do you think?
That's a good question. I think it makes business sense. Like, there's a lot of business sense in the Warriors setting up in Logan. The Warriors over here in New Zealand, like they've saturated the market in terms of getting out there and having really strong connections in the community and supporting development opportunities for kids. But it makes sort of sense for them to also go into Australia and have a sort of central point for them to have an academy, because you've got all of these Australian scouts that come over here to New Zealand, and so you've got this one New Zealand academy that's now set up. So this one team from New Zealand sets up the one academy over there, but you've got these 17 clubs that come over here, and they start setting up little pathways, and they're not massive, but the doggies have sort of set up a system over here with Richmond Rovers. Like they've got their own sort of connect. They have their scouts that are over here in the patch of the Warriors, and they've got their own sort of little pathways with Auckland Rugby League clubs, where they've sort of set up these little, they can come and attend their gala days or whatever at Parramatta or at Canberra, and that's how a lot of the talent sort of gets taken from New Zealand. So it's sort of a give and take. So yes, it can be a bit of a competition for kids that are wanting to get into the Warriors, because the Warriors is the local team, but that doesn't then sort of close the door on them being given development opportunities from these other NRL clubs that are consistently sending over their scouts whenever we have our rugby league youth tournaments and that down in Rotorua here. And like when Caleb used to play in those age grades back in the days, like we used to see scouts come from every club to these youth tournaments. So, the Warriors going over there to Logan, setting it up, it's probably a same sort of approach for the Warriors, because all the other NRL clubs are coming over here, attending the youth and gala days here, all the youth tournaments that are here, and they're looking at kids at 13, 14 over here anyway. So, it's good for kids over in Australia. I guess you're right in terms of the fact that there's already 17 clubs in Australia that already have their own sort of development pathways. Rugby league's a lot bigger over in Australia, so it makes sense for them to go over there because the population base, the Warriors have always had the pick of whoever the island boys here are in Auckland. So to go over to Logan, where there's a massive Pacific community, expat New Zealand community, and for them to have development opportunities and pathways to go into the Warriors, it's probably a good thing, because, man, there's a whole bunch of Warriors supporters that live in Brisbane. If you've gone to those Suncorp Stadium games to watch Broncos versus the Warriors, half the supporters are there to watch the Wars at the Broncos home ground. So it's a good opportunity to be able to give back to the community there in Logan. But it's also a good opportunity for kids to have these development pathways for them into the Warriors from Australia. I don't think necessarily it's going to disadvantage any of the kids over here, because there's already a massively well set up development pathways here in New Zealand anyway. It's just an opportunity for the Warriors to sort of see who there in Logan is able to maybe come into their system from there instead of them, I don't know, paying for them to come over to New Zealand to then check it out. Yeah, it makes business sense. Like it just sounds like it's a business sense, and it's a very smart way of future proofing the Warriors having a connection right in the heart of a very populated Pacific suburb in Brisbane for mine, because that's what Logan is, right? Heaps of islanders. It's like Pacific Central in Logan.
It's all hard out, bro. There's a smart move from the Warriors, bro, and you touched on it. It's probably long overdue, man, with the amount of Aussie clubs that have been, doing the same thing, setting up pathways, setting up academies back home in NZ, all over New Zealand. So yeah, it's a smart move, bro, because like you touched on, big expat community of Kiwis over here, big islander communities located in Logan, bro. Is probably like, I don't know, for our viewers and listeners back home in NZ, probably the South Auckland of Brisbane. So no shortage of talent, man, and I know, like case in point, like Dean Mariner, he come over here like along with a lot of kids to come to school, schooling over here to further their to capitalize on opportunities to get into academies and stuff like that over here in the Gold Coast, Brisbane area. So for all those kids that who decide to come over early and do their schooling here, man, that's you would think the Warriors would be fucking high up on their list. Like, damn, they got an academy here. I just left Auckland to come to school here to try and get into some kind of pathway. You got kids like that. You've got kids, the next generation of people like myself who made the move over here. My kids and the people that come over here, that generation who, a lot of people like myself who've migrated over. Not me personally, but there's a lot of Warriors supporters here, man, from back home in NZ. So yeah, man, I think it's just one of the many things that the Warriors are doing lately off the field. That's just showing everyone up, man. You see it in the results now. They've done a lot of good things off the field, bro. They're packing out their stadium every fucking home game, and now they're looking after their pathways, bro. So scary stuff, man. Especially if you're the Broncos, man, you allow this shit to happen in your backyard. But Broncos and Warriors, man, similar kind of clubs, bro. You do what you can to pick the best of the bunch, man. You got a whole big town, whole city of talent to choose from, eh, bro? Nah, Seki, man, as always, bro. Good points, man. Not too much else to talk about with our news of the week, bro. So before we rip into some reviews, bro, just mention the Isaiah Kalava Cup. It's pretty eats this year competition, if you ask me. But we still got Stacey Terianu with this year or next leading the comp, man, by a couple of wins, bro. Speaking of Stace, we haven't touched base with him, bro. We mentioned it last week. Apparently he's not coming back on till finals time. So solid, man. Get over it, bro. It's just a state of origin game, bro. It's not. It's nothing too bad there. Also, your team in the Isaiah Kalava Cup's doing well, though, bro. Followed by Nacho, Danny Phipps' team, God Squad, and D's Nuts, Tana Valini. Rounding out the top four, man. How you been going, bro? You're kind of keeping me company there in the Spungi La'au Cup at 8th place, bro. NZ Steppers. Are we throwing in the towels, or are we still trying every week, mixing it up?
Nah, bro. Still trying. You know what? I had a good opportunity to go into the top 6 last week against Rogers Ultimate Manly, but then 2 of my players gave me some guy-ass scores because they got injured early. bloody Nikora and Billy Smith. It's like those single-digit scores did me no favors, man. And Rog ended up pipping me in that game. Shame it. So
Yeah, well, you only one win out of the top 8.
keeping you company
top
for
6,
now,
sorry.
but
So, yeah, bro, I lost to
there's hope, mate.
was it Stace last week? I lost to Stace, but I made a big blue. I had Dylan Edwards as a fullback, but I should have recognized that Cleary was fucking injured, and now Dylan Edwards is the kicker. So not only with his 200 meters plus a game he normally gets, now he's getting these points. Solid, man. He scored 106 points, man. I should have made him my captain. That was a big difference. But yeah, bro, we'll see how Stace, if he can keep this shit up.
Never mind.
Could be like the Warriors, mate. Come to the final, score pay. Anyway, bro, we will roll on to our review, bro, and I think we'll start like from the end to the first game. Especially as we always review this WesWes team, bro, and that Eyez when just got in there, bro. You got to be a bit. I mean, it was exciting win, Eyez, but you're a bit worried at all. Like a Knights team that bombed a few tries and missing Ponga, and basically a bit of a rebel this year. Who played really well that game, but is this worrying signs, bro? Is this this exciting Halasima try right at the death? Is it masking some a bit of holes, a bit of worrying signs, bro, with the Warriors, bro, or is it you look at it the other way, bro? You look at it like the Warriors can play Kaea and still come up with the 2 points, bro. Still manufacture an Eyez win after a shitty performance, bro. Interesting to see how you look at it. Also.
Yeah, I think you can look at it as we just beat a subpar team, a team that's not doing so well in the Knights. But my take on it is if you're going to build momentum, which is what Stacey always sort of talks about as being really important heading into the back end of the season, if you're going to build momentum, you need to build it on some really steely games, as Tama calls them, like the one against the Knights. Everything was sort of going wrong for the Warriors, and if not for a few greedy plays from the Knights, and if not for a few super awesome defensive efforts from Tuapiki, the Warriors could have easily lost that game. But it's those kind of games that, I believe you take your destiny into your own hands, really. That game, I was talking to my son about it, and he was going on about how, the Warriors have got an easy run into the finals. You play the Titans twice in the last 6 or 7 rounds. And I'm like, last year, we lost both games against the Titans. One was a really close one in April, and the Titans are our next game up, actually. And then the second game was 66-6. So I don't think the Warriors have got anything easy leading into the finals playoffs. You never take any team for granted. And I don't think the mindset should be, Knights, you will roll over this team. The mindset should be, we're going to do everything that we did at training, and everything else will just happen after that. If you watch that game, there were some poor defensive reads from that right side, Dylan Watson-Selezniak, and then I think it was Capewell. He missed a few tackles there on that right side he was up against Brisbane Best, eh? So, there's lots to work on. Yes, Liquor pulled the Warriors out of the fire that they were in, and good on them, and good on the Warriors for getting the dub. But I think it's games like this where they need to build on. Like, it's not something to sort of think, well, we should have beat the Knights anyway. I don't think any of the Warriors have that mindset. Well, they should have beat the Warriors, should have beat the Knights, because any of these teams on their day can beat each other. Even a team that's coming 17th, which is where the Titans are, and the Wires have them next week or this week coming. They'll remember the fact that last year we lost both games against the Titans, and the Titans will be, they're coming off that 1 point loss to the Tigers. And, Des Hasler stepping down. He's not going to be the coach next year. There's a lot of turmoil happening. Kieran Foran's announced his retirement. And that's this week's game. But back to the Knights game. Worrying signs defensively. Yes, I think Dallin really needs to step it up. And I know he'll be the one, like, he's probably pissed off at himself for some of those reads. But he hasn't really had a consistent centre partner
that come down his way,
for the time that he has been there. Yeah, exactly. And not only misreading, but he'd go in, look like he's going to tackle someone, and then tackle nobody. It's like, Sully, if you're going to run in and jam and put a shot on or something. But he jams and then looks out like this. It's like, Sully, come on, bro. You're making these other wingers look awesome, and you look super Boyd, inferior.
Bro? What's your view on him, bro? Are you happy with him being your halfback to take you to the finals, bro?
If I'm being honest, no. I'd rather have Luke Metcalf there, absolutely. But if Tanner Boyd is the guy that's got the jersey on, then we need to have faith in him. We need to back this guy. I don't think he has that same sort of explosive speed that Luke Metcalf has. I think he plays a little bit too structured, whereas Luke Metcalf can be a bit more unstructured. I think that's probably from him playing with Sean Johnson a bit last year and the year before last, where Sean sort of brings that out. Tanner Boyd having Chanel there, Chanel's sort of young, and I don't know how old Tanner Boyd is. It feels like he's been around for ages, but he hasn't really been able to crack first grade consistently. So, yeah, I don't know. He was part of one of those Titans teams last year in April that beat the Warriors. He scored a try against us. He's got the capability of being someone that can lead the backs around. And I think he's really fortunate that he's running behind the pack that the Warriors have, because they're going to set up a really good platform for him. So structurally, it'll look good. The shape will look good. But it's that eyes up football that I'd really like for him to play a bit more. Don't just drop it in backdoor plays or drop a man and look up and see what's in front of you and play what's there. That's what I want to see more from Tanner Boyd. I actually like the fact that he has taken the reins, and he doesn't look to have shied away from the responsibility. He's taking the game. His kicking's been really good. Apart from that 5 minutes at the end, we were lucky that we had a challenge, that we were able to challenge that last drop kick play. I was thinking, oh my gosh, did the Knights player touch him on the way through? Well, that's a super stink way for the Knights to get penalised, similar to that Manly Storm game. But it wasn't that. It was the fact that Hastings was offside at marker, not square. And then he didn't ice the kick. But I thought, there was a really nice gesture from Fisher Harris when he missed the kick, and Fisher Harris was like, oh, don't worry about it. And I honestly thought the game was done. Even with the drop kick, I was thinking, oh man, it's like 40 seconds. But when they drop kicked, and I was thinking, well, if we can get up to over halfway, we might be a chance. And yes, I'm thinking 2-point field goal. But if not for Fisher Harris's carry, he carried us right up the middle. And I think that was the third tackle. Yeah. And then the fourth, fifth tackle, we were still quite a ways out. But, we had an opportunity. To be honest, I don't think they should have charged it down, and I reckon we would have missed the kick anyway. He had so much going on in his head, missed one field goal, missed the penalty. Now you're expected to kick a 2-point field goal. Yeah, but they did. They went for the charge down, and Liquor the Wrecker. What in the Halasima is going on? Did that play and amazingly got the dub for the Warriors. So heaps to work on there, bro. Like it wasn't a polished performance at all, which is good. I mean, you don't want to be too polished or too overconfident. Like there are teams now who've been like at the top for a while, like the Raiders. They're on some winning streak, man. But the team that I'm super concerned about is the Panthers because they're starting to build some consistency and momentum with 6 wins in a row. So it's like, shit, not the bloody Panthers coming from behind. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a polished performance at all from the Warriors. I do believe there's lots of room for improvement. I see this week they've dropped Toa Samoa back to 18th man because Chance is back. And Chance, he's great at the back. He offers something different from Toa Samoa. He'll do a lot more of those up the guts sort of runs early in tackle sets, and from the back. I don't think he has that same sort of explosive speed that Toa Samoa does have. But yeah, I guess they'll just play to whatever the game plan is for whoever's gonna lace up the boots for the Warriors in the weekend. So yeah, I know they won't be taking that game against the Titans lightly, purely based on the fact that we lost both of those games last year, and 17th doesn't mean anything really in this NRL and this year's NRL competition. Like any team on their day will pull your pants down. So if you're not up to defending your line and putting on some consistency in terms of completed sets, that's where I think the Warriors have done really well this year. They've completed their sets. They've got a high completion rate, which is something they've not had in the past. And that high completion rate set them up really well. And I think that's what's put them into fourth spot on the ladder this year is good completion rates, consistently defending well in those games where they have sort of won. I won't include the game in the weekend against the Knights, but consistent defense and completion rates, being able to build pressure and being able to capitalize on other teams' errors has been one of the strengths for the Warriors this year. And also just that next man up mentality, like losing Chance a few weeks back, losing Metcalf for the year, losing Mitch Barnett. I mean, they've been under a bit of stress with trying to manage those injuries. But that's just rugby league. You can't really look at that as an excuse. You've just got to get the next guy up. And, losing Mitch Barnett has allowed Lecker to come up, has allowed Dimitri to have more minutes, and both of those guys developing at the rate that they're developing. Like Demi off the back fence, man, that guy is lethal. Like they've got some good young back rowers, and it puts them in good stead for the future. Not even looking at this season, I'm looking at, man, you better sign those boys up for the next 3-4 years because they deserve to be the backbone of the Warriors once Fisher Harris and all the rest of these boys retire.
Yeah, Shuttles. Just my 5 cents. Even though it was a bit of a poor performance and they come out with the win, let's be honest, man. With 7 rounds to go, it'll come down to a couple of games, man. The Doggies, round 23. You seem a bit fiffy with this Titans team, bro. You're playing them twice. But, man, if they fucking drop one of those games against the Titans, then they don't belong in the 4. But for me, for them to be premiership contenders, man, I believe that they need that extra life. They need that top 4 position. I just think teams like the Bronx, teams like Panthers especially, been there, done that, are dangerous, man, in an elimination final. But in order for them to stay in that top 4, man, they can't drop any of these games like Dolphins, Titans. They got the Dragons and the Eels. But But yeah, the Doggies game in round 23, even if they dropped that one, it all come down on the performance, whether we really assessed whether they got the goods or not. I believe they got the forwards. I believe they got the kind of style. Like if they can get these athletes like Leka and these young back rowers on the fringes, man, to trouble teams. And also their style, man, up through the middle, a bit like not too structured, but different to what other teams offer. They can pose a threat to the premiership. But like I said, that's dependent on whether they can get to that form, man. So that game, round 23 against the Doggies, and then their last game they got Sea Eagles. Seagulls are always tough to analyze this year, but they seem to be at a bit of a run at the moment, and coming into the finals. So that's their last game, round 27. The Warriors have them, and it's at 4 Pine Spark. I think those are the two games where we really kind of find out what the nitty gritty of this Warriors team is. On to the next few games, bro. We'll skip this Le Gaulier game, the other game on the Sunday that we had. Good close win, Tigers against the Titans. On the Saturday games, we had, bear with me, we had close game, one of the games of the week. Storm didn't play too well in that one, but it's a bit of a Seagulls renaissance. Doggies, Dragons. Doggies just kind of coming out on top of that one, bro. You managed to watch that one, Doggies and Dragons? I thought that was the game of the round on Saturday night.
I missed that one. I was at a birthday dinner. Yeah, I didn't catch any of the games until the second half of that Storm Sea Eagles.
Yeah, it seems like the Doggies showing their hands now, bro. Which is the worst kept secret, bro. All this Lockie Galvin shit, bro. But Sexton, now we know he's leaving. He's playing the rest of the year in fucking New South Wales Cup. Do you think Lockie Galvin and their team is kind of enough for them? Everyone's saying, oh, they're fucking mean on D, but they just don't have the polish in the halves to win a comp. Do you think this young fella Galvin has got enough in him? I thought he was really quiet in that game. He pulled out the winning play, but that was more down to Tara Sloan's brain explosion coming off his wing, bro. But from what you've seen with Galvin and the Doggies, man, can they go all the way?
That's a tough question, because all I've seen with the Doggies since Galvin's sort of teamed up with him is that they've dropped from first to second, and they had even sort of dropped down to third. I don't know. That's tough, because the Doggies, they've been playing really well for the majority of the season, and they won a whole bunch of games without Lockie Galvin there. But now that he's there, you have to hope that the Doggies are able to sort of gel and work with him. There was that game where they had Galvin in there at 6 and they put Burton out at centre, and that was a terrible idea, because they played terrible in that game. And I don't know what they were thinking, but I know what they're thinking. They're trying to insert Lockie Galvin into the squad, and they're trying to give him more responsibility. They're trying to what they're actually trying to do is they're trying to justify the fact that they fucking brought him into the team, stolen him away from the Tigers, all of that media hoo-ha that came with him. They really hope that it pays off, because if it doesn't pay off, they're going to have massive egg on their face. Like, if there's a team in the top 4 right now that would look super silly if they didn't progress all the way through to at least the second week of the finals. Oh, well, if they're top 2, they get that rest anyway. But, if if they don't go deep into the finals this year, they're going to look pretty stupid, the doggies, and that's pretty sad because it's not Lockie Galvin's fault. He's still just a young kid. But the thing that he does have going for him is that he plays like he's got such energy when he plays. Like you can tell he loves to play rugby league. That kid, like he's not got any sort of monkeys on his back. He doesn't have any baggage. You'd think if it was an older player who was coming across, or if it was like a DCE, pondering his future in the game and where he should go to. I'm off to the Roosters, but then gets dropped from Origin captaincy and has shitty games, and now the Roosters are like, do we really want to sign him? If he was an older, more mature player who's had all of these seasons under his belt, he probably wouldn't be able to handle this media circus around him. He's just playing the game. He's not focusing on any of that outside noise, which is good. I thought his game would be affected, but it shows that he's either super mature or he just doesn't care about the noise. And so the doggies, like they need to justify the fact that they're going to select him over guys that have been doing the job all year, like Sexton, even though those guys are leaving, Reed Marnie leaving. It's a tough one to sort of answer because I don't know. Like the Bulldogs are still sort of winning games, but it looked like they sort of looked like the Warriors in the weekend. I thought they were going to smash the Dragons, and then they just sort of just got over the line. I don't know. I don't think the Bulldogs faithful and their fans and front office are going to be happy with anything less than a premiership, considering they've had an amazing year so far. They've been top two all year. They've been the first place team on the ladder for the majority of the season. And it's only bar an amazing Raiders run that they're now in second spot. But yeah, it's hard to call. But I do like the fact that Lockie is still playing with that youthful energy, exuberance. He's not letting the outside noise sort of affect his game, and it doesn't look to have affected his game. And it does look like the Doggies players are able to sort of gel a little bit with him, which I thought it might take some time, but they've actually clicked on a lot better than I thought they would have.
Charles, yeah, bro, they're work in progress, man. But as you said, man, the more games Lockie Galvin, we're just seeing little glimpses of brilliance from him. You'll see he could go either way, bro. Could be the touch that they need, or could be caught by. Just the rest of the round, man. Raiders, easy win over the Eels. Panthers over the Rabbitohs, as you'd expect. Sharks over the Roosters. I thought the Roosters. I picked the Roosters on that one. Good for the Sharks, man. They look like they're back in form. And Dolphin the Cowboys, which I was lucky enough to go and watch that one live at Suncorp. Man, both these teams really hard for me to pick to make the 8 out of the 8 at the moment. But Dolphins, man, silky on attack, bro. I believe they got the edges and the halves to put some tries on opposition teams, but they still let in 4 tries against the Cowboys, who are a bit out of form at the moment. And to be honest with you, that's probably them. Sorry to my nephew. My nephew, who, man, thoughts out to my nephew, man. That was the first game he started, but he got himself an injury with his knee. So, Toby, I'm going to say also, keep working hard, brother. Just before we fire into our into the round, bro, I was trying to bring up the ladders. Top 8, we've got the Raiders at the top. Doggies, Storm, Warriors, there's your top 4. And 4 points below them, we've got the Broncos on 26, Panthers 25, Sea Eagles and Sharks both on 24, man. So it's really a bit of a logjam, this top 8. And out of the teams outside of the 8, we've got the Dolphins and the Roosters just 2 points out on 22. I don't know, just judging on form, man, I think that those are the 10 teams that are fighting for the 8. It looks like a pretty much bank it that top 4 also, unless the Wairua slip and slide is going to happen to the Warriors, and then the Broncos get in there, but we can pretty much cement that top 4. Of the rest of the 8, Broncos, Panthers, Sea Eagles, and Sharks, do you see any of those teams falling out? And if so, any one of Dolphins, Roosters can come in, bro? Or even Dragons and the Tigers?
Those guys that are 7th and 8th at the moment, Sea Eagles and Sharks, those are probably the only 2 that I'd worry about, just because they've been super inconsistent. Probably the Sea Eagles more than the Sharks. The Sharks are probably seeing Nico Hines come right when they need him to. He had an amazing game in the weekend, and he was everywhere. He was supporting ball runners. He was in the middle of setting up moves. He was kicking. He was running. He was varying up his attack. He was playing really direct. He was the Nico Hines from a few years ago before State of Origin. I don't know. It gourbayed his form when he was selected out of position and then put on in the last 6 minutes to perform a miracle and nothing happened. But maybe Manly, I think, are a worry, just because of how DCE is. I don't know if he's sort of really gotten over being dropped from the Queensland captaincy in that squad. Tommy Turbo's a bit doubtful as well. They've got some injuries, so in the only, and yes, Dolphins and the Roosters have the potential to come in, but I reckon it's probably the Dolphins. Like, I've really enjoyed watching Isaiah Katoa play this year. He's been doing amazing things, leading that Dolphins team around. And yeah, a few of the games have sort of gotten away from them, but they've been doing all right, man. When Katoa has a really awesome game, the Dolphins are winning. And man, you just can't write off those strike weapons out wide, like Hammer, Herbie, Isako. Like, those guys are game changers, man, and X Factor players. And prior to Nikorima getting injured, him and Katoa were a really good combo. Like, they were playing really well, and the Dolphins were actually in the 8 at that time. They've sort of dropped a few games in the last few weeks, but they could be a smoky for me, the Dolphins. Their game in the weekend against the Cowboys, I thought they were going to score 50 points, but then it's like they took the foot off the gas, and then they just allowed the Cowboys to come back. I reckon Manly could possibly drop out, and the Dolphins could push their way in. And that's, I'm just going to call it, bro. I know Cams and Raj don't want to hear me say it, but I reckon the Sea Eagles are a chance of falling out. The Roosters have been way too inconsistent, and they've got issues with their halves. And I mean, if Chad Townsend gets selected again, then Robbo needs his head scanned. Like, Chad Townsend is washed, man. And is it Sam Walker who's just come back? Like, just come back from injury. There's just a lot too much, really, for them to try and do this late in the season, to try and cobble together some wins to make the top 8. It's almost getting to a point where they needed to have been consistent 3 rounds ago. And that game in the weekend, it just looked like they were only down by, I think, 8 points at halftime. But then after halftime, it was like they were trying to score off every play. Like, they gave them the ball, and it was like, suddenly, why don't you build some pressure, get consistent with your sets? They were like incomplete 9 sets in that second half, to start the second half, and that's what got them on the back foot, because they were just doing stupid things, throwing dumb passes. ball handling. So for me, Roosters probably won't make it, but I reckon the Dolphins would make it, and them in, Sea Eagles out.
Hey. All right. Hey. Kalofaya, Roger, and Cam. No love for the Seagulls. Seki Mouse, we'll round it up, bro, with our previews, bro. We'll do some quick fire, man, starting with tomorrow's game. Roosters and the Storm. Also, you got
Storm to bounce back, and they're probably going to be super angry for losing last week and for fighting the Roosters.
Yeah, I'm actually picking the Roosters to be in the 8s, but not with this one. You don't really see the Storm play shit 2 weeks in a row, so I'm picking the Storm as well. Friday night's first game, Cowboys and the Dragons, bro.
This is another one of those matchups that's a coin toss for me, because either one of these teams on their day will win. So I'll give some love to the Cowboys this week because they're a Queensland team, and I reckon they'll win in a close one.
Cowboys. I thought the Dragons were unlucky, man, and they'll be pissed off. So I'm gonna pick the Dragons. Friday night's second game, the mighty Broncos versus the Eels. Also, you got
this could be the upset of the round. It could be the upset of the round, but there's just too much turmoil going on at the Eels. Too much turmoil. I think Mitch Moses is back after his absence from injury, but it'll be too much of a hill for those Eels boys to climb, and I think the Broncos have got this game 12 and under.
Oh, okay, shot. Common sense prevails there. Oos, Broncos. And Broncos for me, mate. If the Broncos lose this, I'm just gonna go swim with my jersey, and that's it for the rest of the year. Saturday afternoon, first game. Go Media Stadium. Do we have a upset? Do we have the upset on the cards? Also, who you got, bro? Warriors, Titans.
Warriors all day, 13 plus.
Ooh. Yep, me too, bro. Was. Panthers, Tigers, bro. Who you got?
Unfortunately, Benji's Tigers are one and done after their win last week. Panthers are probably going to smoke them.
Yeah, same. Panthers. Hopefully, they also Benji doesn't get fired this year. But yep, Panthers for me. Last game for Saturday night, Rabbitohs versus the Sharks, bro. It's pretty tough year for your boy, mate, and his team. But who you got, bro? Sharks or the Rabbitohs?
It's probably going to get tougher after Saturday. I think the Sharks are going to beat the Rabbitohs. It'll probably be close, actually. But the Sharks have got that one.
Yeah, man. This half combination of Jack Wyden and Lewis Dodd does not excite me for the Rabbitohs, bro. So I'm picking the Sharks as well. On to Sunday's game, bro. First game for Sunday, Raiders Knights.
Yeah, I think the Knights are still not over that last minute loss to the Warriors, and they're probably going to get fa'ai'd from the Raiders. Raiders 13 plus.
Yeah. Raiders been too much of on a roll. I'm going to say Raiders as well, but in a close one, man. And rounding out the round, bro, Doggies versus Seagulls.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Doggies for this one. I know Manly they won that game last week, but I reckon that was a fluke. And I don't think the Doggies are going to have a back-to-back stink games. They made it look like hard work against the Dragons last week, so Doggies, but it'll be close.
Sorry, you're just not giving much offers to the Seagulls this week, bro, especially after a bit of a good run at the moment. I'm actually picking them for my upset of the week, so I'm going to pick the Seagulls. Seagulls in a close game against the Doggies. I just think the Doggies got quite lucky and they're still working it out. And they're going to come up against a flying Seagulls. Short miles. We've got our picks. Just quickly to finish off the game, man. You've got a couple of picks for our multi, which I've probably once I've put a bet on our multis, but I don't think any of our multis have come in, bro. But what you got, man? Give us a couple, and I put a couple for a 4-way multi horse.
Okay, let's have a look. What looks like will come in? I reckon Broncos Eels. Broncos for the win, and Josiah Karapani to score a double.
Broncos hits ahead win. Karapani double. Sure. Also, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna say Seagulls. 1-12, close one. Seagulls. And Hopewadi anytime try scorer. Sekimos. Shot. Thank you for having us, everybody. Thank you, Bobby. Hopefully the Us will be back next week. Your host Tana Valini. But before we go, Us, any last words?
Yeah. Good luck to my boys' team this Saturday. They've got Ponsonby. I think they make the top 6, so that's good for them. Yeah. Good luck for the game this weekend, Richmond.
Seki, thanks, bro. I should have mentioned at the start, but man, get onto our WesWes Network. The website you see all our podcasts on there, man. We've got a good movie reviews going on at the moment, man, and Counter Ruck once someone can locate Stacey Tirianu, still having a cry after the origin. But yeah, man, malo soifua. Thank you, everybody. See you next week or whenever. Bye.
So